Good day, everybody. It's another edition of Wardy Screencasts. We're moving on to nonfiction reading. So what we're going to kind of work on today, and this lesson, by the way, give a little hat tip, a little tip of the hat to Kylene Beers and Robert Probst in their book, Reading Nonfiction. I've gotten some strategies from that. I think they're going to be awesome. So what we're really going to focus on today is how to better annotate nonfiction so we can make sense of the text. I know we talk about annotating, we hear it, and we think, what do we have to do? All right. What kind of questions am I going to come up with? What am I circling? And go through the next few lessons and really focus and hone those skills, which will help you make inferences, predictions, draw conclusions, a whole bunch of stuff. So just got to bear with me a little bit. So today we're just going to kind of start with, what is nonfiction? Here's the definition. And in Edpuzzle, I'll freeze this so you can write down the definition. Nonfiction is a body of work that appears to tell readers about the real world, a real experience, a real person, an idea, or a belief. The key word here is appears. If something appears, does that mean it's factual? True? No. So we have to get away from thinking nonfiction is always true. Not necessarily. It's factual. No, it can still be biased. It's credible. No, not all nonfiction is from credible sources. And in our lesson, we work on determining what's credible, what's not credible, that kind of thing. So think of it this way. Fiction invites you, the reader, into a writer's imagined world. We've known a lot of that this year. Nonfiction intrudes on our lives and claims to tell us something about it. So fiction's like that imagined world. Nonfiction is the real world we live in, and they're going to try and tell us something about it. Fiction, Drums, Girls, Dangerous Pie we just read, The Outsiders, those of you who read it in 7th grade, great book. The Black Cat by Poe, these are all imagined worlds. Some, realistic fiction, it's still imagined. Fiction. Nonfiction intrudes on our lives and claims to tell us something about it. What are some examples of nonfiction? It could be a real news article. Camden misses the second round cut for Amazon headquarters, but Philly and Newark are still in the running. I'm trying to make this be like the Super Bowl. Anyway, all right. So this was an article. News, nonfiction. Collingswood among the best school districts in the state in new rankings. This was published August 2017. Again, news story, nonfiction. This is where we start to get to a little bit of editorial, where it may or may not be factual, may or may not be true. Could be fake news. Some fake news is nonfiction. All right, Newsweek runs racist op-ed asking if all conservative loudmouths are Irish American, and you could go and read the story. Is it racist, or is it somebody just thinking it's racist? We don't know. I mean, we would know once we read the story. We can make up our own minds. But this is nonfiction, purporting, appearing to tell you something about your world. iPhones and Us. This is an editorial. It's time for independent study, public awareness, and regulation. It's an opinion, appearing to tell us something about our world. Could be gossip news. Did Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez profess their love for each other? Gossip, nonfiction. Sports news. Sixers beat the Celtics. A game recap, nonfiction. A science research article. Global warming in the Jersey Shore. Your science texts, nonfiction. History, Declaration of Independence, nonfiction. If you're going to patch a hole in the wall and you have to look up directions, nonfiction. Baking a cake directions, nonfiction. Appearing to tell us something about our world. It's not the writer's world, it's our world. Your student agenda is nonfiction. So my point is, most of what you're going to read in life is nonfiction. It intrudes on our lives and claims or appears to tell us something about it. So annotating. All right, what we're going to actually work on, there's 3 different things throughout this next couple weeks cycles that we're going to work on. One is questions to keep in mind, big questions to keep in mind when annotating. We're going to look for, just like fiction, we have signposts, aha moment, contrast, contradictions. There's some signposts for nonfiction we'll go over. There's 5 of them. And then some strategies that we can use to kind of pull more information out, to really go back through and understand it. Today we're going to work on one question. The 3 questions overall, though, are this. What surprised me? When you find something in an article that surprises you, you should make note of it because it is helping you understand and learn something about the topic. What did the author think I already know? Sometimes we're confused because the author assumes we know something and have some background information, yet they don't give us enough context to understand it. It's actually their fault. But as the reader, if we want to understand it, we have to figure out what those things are and how to better understand the article. And then finally, what challenged, changed, or confirmed what I already know. So you're going to look for textual evidence that maybe you have the right idea, maybe the author's challenging what you think and possibly changing your mind. So we're going to go back and look at that too. All right, today we're going to work on what surprised me. We always think surprise. Huge, big surprise. Excuse me. However, not all surprises are big. It doesn't have to be something earth-shattering. It doesn't have to be finding out that I just won the lottery and $200 million the day before. It could be I found $1 on the ground. Ooh, that's a nice little surprise. I can buy myself a pretzel on Tuesday. Excuse me. Right. For example, and there's 4, we'll say this, I might write this down too. There are 4 different categories of surprises. New information. I didn't know that. Suspicious information. Really? Is that actually true? I don't know about that. Clarifying information. I get it now. That's a surprise. A different perspective. I never thought of that way. How could anybody actually think that way? How could anybody actually think that the Falcons would have beaten the Eagles in the playoffs? That's a different perspective than I ever would have had. That's a surprise. All right, let's look at this. I'm going to show you. Sometimes it's not a huge surprise. This is from a book called The Life and Times of the Honeybee. Riveting. Pilgrims brought the first honeybees to America. By the 1850s, honeybees had flown to California. What surprises you on that? All right, here's what surprises me. The Pilgrims brought the first honeybees to America. So there were never honeybees there before? So then you kind of note what surprises you, and then you kind of start going, all right, what questions do I have now? And questions I would have would be, so the first honeybees came with the Pilgrims, so does that mean Native American and Indians didn't have honey? How'd they get them here? Did they trap them and bring them on a boat? And by 1850s, they flew from the East Coast to California? All right, so those are kind of things that bring up when you find a surprise. So you really have to sit there and think about it a little bit. So just to recap what we've gotten so far, nonfiction, it's a work or a writing that appears to tell us something about our world, an idea, a belief. And the first question we're going to look for when we annotate today is, what surprised me? Wardy is out.